athlete of the year. She was the most influential woman. And I'm here to tell you, it looked like they're trying to replace Caitlin Clark with Paige Bueckers. Well, really, it ain't looking that way because she has been replaced with Paige Bueckers. Now, the Indiana Fever star Aliyah Boston also made this list, and I'm here to tell you Caitlin Clark unfortunately did not make this list, which lead me to believe that the heights and what we've been talking about these last couple weeks, at least over here on my channel, is for real. That is the Caitlin Clark hype is dying.
That hype is dying down. Those are strong words from someone who built their entire channel on Caitlin Clark content, and he's not alone. Over 100 subscribers lost in November alone, channels bleeding viewers. The algorithm going cold. But here's what makes this really interesting. Forbes just made a decision that confirms what the data's been showing for weeks. The 2025 Forbes 30 Under 30 list dropped, and Caitlin Clark's name is nowhere on it. Not even an honorable mention. Instead, they went with Paige Bueckers, who hasn't played a single WNBA game yet. So the question everyone's asking, is this a snub? Or is this Forbes reading the room better than Clark's own fans?
Posted on their X account today, and this is of Aliyah Boston. Now, granted, Aliyah Boston did make this list, so at least somebody from the Indiana Fever made this 30 for 30 list. Now, this right here caught my attention. When I seen this, it says 30 for 30. Congrats to Aliyah Boston on being named 2025 Forbes 30 for 30 list. Now, this right here is the one that really had me scratching my head, because this was the
3 WNBA players made the cut. Napheesa Collier from Minnesota, Paige Bueckers, who's still at UConn, and Aliyah Boston from the Fever. That last one is particularly telling. Boston made her teammate, the woman who broke every viewership record in WNBA history just 6 months ago, did not. Forbes specifically highlighted Boston's third consecutive All-Star appearance, her All-WNBA second-team selection, and her defensive prowess. All legitimate accomplishments. But let's be real about something. If Caitlin Clark doesn't join the Fever in 2024, does Aliyah Boston make this list? Because that's the uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask out loud.
Individual athletes under that age of 30 who are making significant impact on various fields. Now, somebody said GOAT. Yeah, I don't think that. Angel Reese, Asia, CC are over 30. Right? No, and Caitlin is not over 30. I don't think none of them is on it. Angel definitely. Angel ain't got no motion, bro. She ain't got no motion. Somebody said this the type of stuff created ring culture. Basketball is not a popularity contest. Forbes is basically a glorified social media post with no substance.
Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year in 2024. That was Caitlin Clark. The Associated Press Rookie of the Year. Also Caitlin Clark. She appeared on the cover of Slam magazine, became the face of Wilson Basketballs, signed an 8-year $28 million deal with Nike. Her games averaged 1.2 million viewers on ESPN, more than triple what the league saw the previous season. The playoff game between Indiana and Connecticut drew 1.8 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA playoff game in 2 decades. These aren't subjective measures of influence, these are concrete numbers that changed the financial trajectory of an entire league. So when Forbes publishes their 30 Under 30 list highlighting young people making significant impact in their fields, and that name isn't on it, you have to wonder what criteria they're actually using.
Been on this list. Hell yeah, Caitlin Clark should have been on this list. There's no question Caitlin Clark should have been on this list. She should have been on this list. To me, you could replace her with Napheesa Collier, bro. No disrespect to her. She's a hometown hero here in my home state, but she should have been there. Paige got hype, though. Paige got an algorithm. Paige got hype. Is Paige hype bigger than Caitlin Clark? No, it's not. Aliyah Boston, I just got to be honest. She's only on this list because she's...
Here's where the Paige Bueckers selection gets really interesting. She's currently a senior at UConn. She's dealt with multiple injuries over her college career, including an ACL tear that cost her the entire 2022-2023 season and a tibial plateau fracture December 2024 that ended her final college season early. Her draft stock is high, absolutely. She's projected to go number 1 overall to the Dallas Wings in April 2025. But she hasn't played a professional game yet. She hasn't negotiated a CBA. She hasn't dealt with travel schedules, back-to-backs, or the physical grind of an 80-game season between WNBA and international play. Forbes is betting on potential over proven impact. And that decision tells you something about how they view Caitlin Clark's first professional season.
It just gotta be. It said Boston Rise traces back to college, which Aliyah Boston did go to South Carolina. She was with Don Staley, but at the end of the day, Aliyah Boston is not on this list if she's not Caitlin Clark's teammate. I am sorry. This is a big FU to Caitlin Clark from Forbes, basically saying that we're going to replace you with your teammate. To me and Paige Bueckers. Not to say there's friction or tension there between Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. I'm pretty sure both of them got mutual respect.
The data doesn't lie, and content creators live and die by it. Channels that exploded during March Madness and the early WNBA season are now hemorrhaging subscribers. The algorithm that once pushed every Caitlin Clark video to hundreds of thousands of viewers has gone ice cold. Videos that would have hit 50,000 views in June 2024 are now struggling to break 5,000. And it's not just small creators. Major sports channels are seeing the same drop-off. The off-season always brings a decline. That's normal. But this isn't a seasonal dip. This is a cliff. Search interest for Caitlin Clark on Google Trends peaked in April 2024 and has been in steady decline since August. By December, it was down 73% from its peak. That's not a cooling of hype. That's a collapse.
Hype is dying. Because I know some of y'all might not. But we all just got to be honest here. You know, I lost 100 subscribers. The data shows me that the hype is dead. My data shows that's a video in itself. Like I said, if anybody's channel's growing 200, 300 subscribers today, they're buying subs and they will not be in this genre possibly in 2026. I'm telling you what I know. YouTube do not play the fake engagement game. They're doing it not on this WNBA channel, but on the football channel as well. And they will come after you and they will block your IP address, man.
Forbes isn't making this decision in a vacuum. They have access to the same engagement metrics everyone else does. They see the social media numbers. They track the search trends. They know which athletes are generating sustained interest versus flash-in-the-pan viral moments. And here's what makes their decision particularly calculated. They included Aliyah Boston, which means they're not ignoring the Fever entirely. They're acknowledging that Indiana had a breakthrough season. They're recognizing that the team's success matters, but they're crediting Boston's consistency and defensive impact over Clark's offensive fireworks and media attention. That's a specific editorial choice. They're saying sustained excellence matters more than explosive debut season. They're saying all defensive second team carries more weight than Rookie of the Year. Whether you agree with that or not, it's a defensible position.
On YouTube now, there is a lot of channels that is doing this. I'm not here to point fingers, but there is a guy that got the same background as me that is doing this on 2 channels. And I'm telling you right now, I'm predicting he's not going to be a channel in 2026, bro. That's how bad botting your channel is. Now, with that being said, me personally, I'm a weather the storm because I got faith. I believe Caitlin Clark could turn this thing around. I believe Caitlin Clark could come into the 2020.
Let's talk about what happened after the initial explosion. Caitlin Clark's rookie season started with unprecedented hype. The Fever's first game drew over 2 million viewers. Ticket prices for road games tripled. Arenas that usually sat half empty were suddenly selling out. But then the season actually started, and reality set in. Indiana finished 2020, barely squeaking into the playoffs as the 6th seed. They got swept in the first round by Connecticut. Clark shot 34% from the field in that series. Her turnovers, which had been a problem all season, became the story. 5 turnovers per game during the regular season, the highest in the league. The narrative shifted from generational talent to needs time to develop. And once that narrative shifts, it's hard to shift it back, especially in an offseason where there's no games to change the conversation.
Caitlin Clark teammate. I just gotta keep it real. I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not trying to be none of that. Y'all know me. I'ma call it spade a spade. Shout out to Ben Daniel, bro. I'ma call it for what it is. And what it is, Aliyah Boston is simply on this list because she's Caitlin Clark teammate. Now the caption is stated: Forbes 30 for 30 list is an annual list published by Forbes that highlights 30 outstanding individual athletes under that age of 30 who are making significant impact on various fields.
Napheesa Collier's inclusion makes perfect sense. She led Minnesota to the WNBA Finals, averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds, won Defensive Player of the Year, and finished second in MVP voting behind A'ja Wilson. She's a 2-time champion, a 4-time All-Star, and she's only 27 years old. Nobody's questioning that selection. But the Paige Bueckers choice, that's where Forbes is making a statement. They're looking forward, not backward. They're betting that Bueckers' college dominance, her social media following of 1.3 million on Instagram, and her marketability will translate into professional impact that exceeds what Clark delivered in year 1. It's a prediction, and if Bueckers comes into the league next season and immediately elevates Dallas the way Clark was supposed to elevate Indiana, Forbes looks brilliant. If she struggles with injuries or adjustment issues, this decision ages poorly. But either way, they're clearly signaling that one impressive rookie season isn't enough to guarantee a spot on this list. Here's what makes this situation more complex than just Forbes snubbed Caitlin Clark. This list has always been about sustained impact and future potential, not just one breakout year. Look at past selections. In 2019, they included Breanna Stewart, who had already won 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs by age 25. In 2021, they featured Sabrina Ionescu, who was coming off a strong sophomore season and had established herself as a franchise cornerstone. These weren't players who had one good year. These were players who demonstrated consistency and growth. Caitlin Clark had an undeniably impactful rookie season from a media and cultural standpoint, but from a pure basketball performance perspective, she had a good not great year on a team that barely made the playoffs. The numbers tell a complicated story. Yes, she averaged 19 points and 8 assists. Yes, she broke the rookie assist record, but she also led the league in turnovers by a significant margin. Her shooting percentages, 42% from the field and 34% from 3, were solid but not spectacular. She wasn't in the MVP conversation. She didn't make an all-WNBA team. Compare that to A'ja Wilson, who won MVP, or Napheesa Collier, who finished second. Compare it to Breanna Stewart's dominance in New York. Clark had cultural impact, but the on-court results didn't match the hype, and that's where the disconnect happens. Forbes is an analytics-driven publication. They're looking at concrete achievements, championships, awards, statistical dominance, business ventures, measurable impact. Caitlin Clark's biggest achievement in 2024 was bringing attention to the WNBA. That's valuable. Absolute. But it's also hard to quantify in the way Forbes typically quantifies success. How do you measure made people care about women's basketball? How do you put a number on got casuals to watch WNBA game? Those things matter, but they're not the same as winning Defensive Player of the Year or leading your team to the finals. The Aliyah Boston inclusion actually makes the Clark exclusion more pointed. Forbes could have easily left all Fever players off the list. They could have said Indiana had a nice season, but didn't accomplish enough. Instead, they specifically chose Boston, who had a quieter but more consistent year. Boston averaged 14 points and 9 rebounds, made her 3rd straight All-Star team, and earned all WNBA second-team honors. She was the steady presence while Clark got all the attention, and Forbes is saying that steady excellence matters more than flashy debut. That's a specific editorial stance. Now let's address the elephant in the room: the timing. This list dropped in December 2024, right in the middle of the off-season, when interest in the WNBA is at its lowest point. There's no games to talk about. There's no highlights to share. The only stories are roster moves, contract negotiations, and off-season drama. And in that vacuum, the narrative around Caitlin Clark has shifted dramatically. The think pieces have started appearing. Was the hype justified? Did she live up to expectations? Is she actually that good? These are questions that weren't being asked in April when she was on the cover of Time magazine, but they're being asked now, and Forbes is answering them. The content creator perspective is particularly revealing here. These are people whose livelihoods depend on reading audience interest correctly. They're not casual observers. They're tracking every metric: views, engagement, subscriber growth, watch time, click-through rates. And what they're seeing is a massive drop-off in Caitlin Clark content performance. Videos that would have dominated in the summer are now dead on arrival. The audience has moved on, or at least pulled back significantly. And if Forbes is seeing the same data, which they absolutely are, then leaving Clark off this list makes perfect business sense. Why feature someone whose cultural moment has passed? But here's the counter-argument. Off-season declines are normal. Every sport sees this. Tom Brady's search interest drops 70% between February and July. LeBron James sees similar declines in the NBA offseason. The question is whether this is a normal seasonal pattern or something more permanent. Will interest spike again when the 2025 season starts in May? Will Caitlin Clark's second season bring back the casual viewers who tuned in for the novelty but didn't stick around? Or has the WNBA already extracted all the value it's going to get from the Caitlin Clark phenomenon? Forbes is betting on the latter. They're saying the peak has passed. They're saying Paige Bueckers represents the next wave, not a continuation of the current one. And they're saying that if you want to be on this list, you need to do more than generate attention for one season. You need to win. You need to dominate statistically. You need to prove that the hype was justified with tangible results. Caitlin Clark didn't do that in 2024. At least not to the level Forbes requires. The Paige Bueckers selection is particularly interesting when you consider her injury history. She's missed significant time over the past 3 years. The ACL tear in 2022 cost her an entire season. The tibial plateau fracture in December 2024 ended her senior year early. She's talented, absolutely, but she's also a significant injury risk. Forbes is betting that her upside is worth that risk. They're betting that when healthy she's a more complete player than Clark, better defender, more efficient scorer, less turnover prone, and if she stays healthy she might actually deliver the dominant professional career that Clark was supposed to have, but hasn't yet achieved. This also raises questions about what Forbes values in their 30 under. Is it current impact or future potential? Is it on-court performance or cultural influence? Is it individual excellence or team success? Because depending on how you weight those factors, you get very different answers about who deserves to be on this list. If you prioritize cultural impact, Clark should absolutely be there. If you prioritize on-court performance, Collier and Boston make more sense. If you prioritize future potential, Bueckers is the right call. Forbes has clearly decided that current performance and future potential matter more than past cultural moments. That's a defensible position, even if Clark's fans disagree with it. So where does this leave Caitlin Clark? She's got a massive Nike deal. She's still the most recognizable player in the WNBA. She's got a signature shoe coming, but she's also facing a critical second season. If she comes back in May 2025 and dominates, if Indiana makes a deep playoff run, if she cuts down the turnovers and improves her efficiency, then this Forbes snub becomes a footnote. It becomes motivation. It becomes a "they doubted me" story. But if she has another good not great season, if the Fever stay mediocre, if the cultural interest continues to decline, then this Forbes decision looks prescient. It looks like they called the peak correctly while everyone else was still riding the hype wave. The real test comes in 5 months, when the 2025 season tips off. Will the casual viewers come back? Will the arenas stay full? Will the ratings hold? Because if they don't, if the Caitlin Clark effect was truly a one-time spike rather than a sustained elevation of the league, then Forbes made the right call. They recognized that impact has to be sustained to matter. One great year gets you on magazine covers. Multiple great years get you on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Caitlin Clark got the covers. Now she needs to prove she deserves the list. And right now, in December 2024, Forbes is saying she hasn't proven it yet. Whether that changes in 2025 is entirely up to her.